There was a samurai who was challenged to a duel by a young, arrogant warrior. The young man insulted him in front of everyone, mocked his age, spat at his feet, called him a coward. The crowd waited for the samurai's reaction. Anger, retaliation, violence. But the samurai did nothing. He looked at the young warrior with complete calm, bowed slightly, and walked away. The young man thought he had won. He laughed, taunted louder, expecting the crowd to join him, but everyone else understood they had just witnessed something terrifying. Not weakness, not fear, something far more dangerous. A mind that does not move. What if everything you know about self-control is just the beginning? What if there's a level so extreme, so complete, that most people find it unsettling to even imagine? What if the Japanese discovered a state of mind where emotions exist but cannot control you, where impulses arise but cannot move you, where chaos surrounds you but cannot shake you? They call it Fudōshin, the immovable mind. And once you understand what it really means, you'll realize why it's both the most powerful and the most frightening form of self-control ever developed. We see the problem everywhere in modern life. Someone cuts you off in traffic and you're angry for the next hour, replaying what you should have done, rehearsing what you should have said. Your phone buzzes and you can't resist checking it, even though you know it's nothing important, even though you were in the middle of something that mattered. Someone criticizes you, and you spend the whole day replaying it in your mind, defending yourself to an invisible jury that doesn't exist. You promise yourself you won't eat junk food, you make a commitment, you mean it, but the craving comes and you give in within minutes, telling yourself tomorrow will be different. You plan to work on something important, something that could change your life, but the discomfort makes you reach for distractions, for easy dopamine, for anything that feels better right now. We are controlled, not by other people, by our own reactions, by impulses we didn't choose, by emotions we can't stop, by urges that override our intentions every single day. And the worst part? We don't even notice it happening. We think we're making choices. We think we're deciding, but we're just reacting to whatever stimulus appears, like puppets controlled by invisible strings we can't even see. Most people call this being human. They accept it as normal. They say things like, "That's just how I am," or "I can't help it, that's my personality." But the Japanese understood something different. They saw that there are levels of self-control most people never even attempt. The first level is basic discipline. You force yourself to do what you said you'd do. You use willpower to override temptation. You grit your teeth and push through. This works sometimes, but it's exhausting. It drains you. It fails under stress. The second level is habit. You build routines so strong that the right action becomes automatic. You don't have to think about it anymore. Your body just does it. This is better, but habits break under pressure, under emotion, under chaos. When life gets hard, when stress hits, when emotions run high, your habits crumble and you're back to willpower, which is already depleted. But there's a third level, a level so rare that most people never see it, a level where the mind itself becomes immovable, where emotions arise but cannot shake you, where temptation appears but cannot move you, where pain, fear, anger, and desire exist but cannot control you. This is Fudōshin, and the Japanese didn't develop it for self-improvement. They didn't develop it to feel better about themselves or to optimize their morning routine. They developed it for survival. Let me tell you what Fudōshin actually means. The word breaks down to Fudō, immovable, and Shin, mind or heart. But immovable doesn't mean calm. Calm is when things are peaceful and you feel relaxed. Calm is sitting by a quiet lake on a beautiful day. Immovable is when everything is chaos and you remain unchanged. Immovable is standing in the middle of a battlefield while arrows fly past your head. Calm is a pleasant state. Immovable is a structure. Think of a mountain during a storm. The wind screams, rain pounds, lightning strikes, trees bend and break. The mountain doesn't calm the storm. The mountain doesn't fight the storm. The mountain simply does not move. That's Fudōshin. Your boss screams at you in front of everyone, his face red, veins bulging, spitting accusations that aren't true. Fudōshin means your heart rate doesn't change, your breathing stays even. Your expression remains neutral. Someone insults you in public, deliberately, trying to humiliate you, trying to get a reaction they can use against you. Fudōshin means no anger arises in your chest, no heat in your face, no clenching of your fists. You're exhausted, running on 3 hours of sleep, stress eating at you, and someone puts your favorite dessert in front of you, the one you've been craving for days. Fudōshin means the craving exists, but your hand doesn't move toward it. The desire is there, fully felt, but it doesn't translate to action. You're terrified before a difficult conversation, your stomach in knots, your palms sweating, every fiber of your being screaming to avoid it. Fudōshin means the fear is present, but your voice remains steady. Your words come out clear. Your intention stays firm. This isn't suppressing emotion. This isn't pretending you don't feel. This isn't putting on a brave face while you crumble inside. This is feeling everything while being moved by nothing. And that distinction is what makes Fudōshin so powerful and so terrifying. Where did this concept come from? Feudal Japan, a world soaked in violence. Samurai faced death constantly, in battle, on missions, in duels that could happen any moment without warning. And they discovered something crucial through centuries of warfare, through watching warriors live and die. The warrior who reacts emotionally dies first. Anger makes you reckless, makes you charge when you should wait, makes you leave openings you can't afford. Fear makes you hesitate, makes you freeze when you should move, makes you miss the moment when action is possible. Overconfidence makes you careless, makes you underestimate your opponent, makes you drop your guard at the worst possible time. Desire makes you predictable, makes you reach for what you want instead of what the situation requires. Every emotional reaction is an opening for your opponent, a moment where you're controlled by something other than clear decision. So the samurai developed Fudōshin not as philosophy, but as survival technology. They combined Zen Buddhism's teachings on non-attachment with brutal martial training. They created a state where the mind observes everything, feels everything, but is moved by nothing. And they discovered that a warrior with Fudōshin was exponentially more dangerous than a warrior with just skill, because skill can be disrupted by emotion, but Fudōshin cannot be disrupted by anything. Here's why ordinary self-control fails. Most people try to control themselves through willpower. They use mental force to resist temptation. They clench their teeth and tell themselves no over and over. And research shows willpower is a limited resource. You use it all day making decisions, resisting urges, forcing yourself to focus. By evening, it's depleted. That's why you eat junk food at night, even though you were disciplined all day. That's why you scroll your phone before bed, even though you know you shouldn't. That's why you snap at people you love, even though you promised yourself you'd be patient. Your willpower tank is empty. But Fudōshin doesn't use willpower. Fudōshin is structural. It's not forcing yourself to resist. It's building a mind where impulses simply don't create motion. Think of it this way. Willpower is like holding a door closed while something pushes from the other side. It works, but it's exhausting. You're using constant effort. Eventually, you get tired and the door opens. Fudōshin is like removing the hinges. The door can't open because the mechanism for opening doesn't exist. The impulse arises, but the pathway from impulse to action has been severed. Modern life makes this almost impossible. Everything in our environment is designed to create emotional reactivity. Social media wants you angry, so you engage more, so you comment, so you share, so you come back. Advertising wants you dissatisfied, so you buy more, so you think you need what you don't need, so you chase happiness through consumption. News wants you afraid, so you watch more, so you stay glued to updates, so you feel like you can't look away. Your phone wants you addicted, so you check more, so you reach for it first thing in the morning and last thing at night. Entertainment wants you overstimulated, so you consume more, so regular life feels boring by comparison. We are being trained every single day to react immediately to every stimulus. Notification appears, you look. Craving appears, you satisfy it. Thought appears, you follow it. Emotion appears, you obey it. This makes Fudōshin feel almost alien today, because everyone around you is reactive, everyone is emotional, everyone is controlled by impulses they're not even aware of. So when you meet someone with real Fudōshin, it feels wrong. It feels inhuman. It feels scary. Because you're used to reading people through their emotional reactions. You're used to seeing anger flash across faces, seeing fear in eyes, seeing desire in body language. And someone with Fudōshin gives you nothing to read. They're a blank wall where you expect to see a window. Let me show you what Fudōshin looks like in practice. Someone insults you deliberately, trying to provoke a reaction. Everyone watches to see what you'll do. The room goes quiet, all eyes on you. With ordinary self-control, you bite your tongue. You don't respond, but inside you're boiling. Your heart races. Your face gets hot. Blood pounds in your ears. You replay it in your mind for hours, imagining what you should have said, what you could have done. With Fudōshin, the insult lands and nothing moves. Not your expression, not your heart rate, not your thoughts later. The insult happened, you noted it, and it passed through without creating any motion. Not because you suppressed your anger, because no anger arose. Or imagine you're exhausted, stressed, running on fumes, and someone puts your favorite dessert in front of you. You can smell it. You can see the perfect texture. Your mouth is already watering. With willpower, you resist. But it takes effort. You think about it. You want it. You use force to stop yourself. And later, when your willpower is weaker, you might give in. With Fudōshin, you see the dessert. Your brain recognizes it as pleasurable. But no impulse to eat it arises. There's no internal battle. No fight between wanting and resisting. Just clear awareness that eating it doesn't align with your decision, and the hand doesn't move. Or you're about to have a conversation you're dreading, confronting someone about something difficult, asking for something that makes you vulnerable, delivering bad news that will hurt someone. With normal fear management, you psych yourself up. You give yourself a pep talk in the mirror. You force yourself forward while your body screams to avoid it, while every instinct tells you to run. With Fudōshin, you feel the fear. It's present in your body. Your stomach might tighten. Your hands might want to shake. But it doesn't create avoidance. You simply walk into the conversation with the fear there, but not in control. Your voice steady. Your mind clear. The fear irrelevant. And here's the scariest part about Fudōshin. The thing that makes people deeply uncomfortable when they encounter it. There's no inner drama. Most people live in constant emotional noise, an endless internal dialogue. Should I do this? What if that happens? They made me so angry. I really want that. I'm so stressed. I can't handle this. This noise is so constant that people think it's just how consciousness works. They think this is what it means to be alive, to be thinking, to be human. But it's not. It's emotional reactivity mistaken for thinking. Someone with Fudōshin has silence inside. Not empty silence, aware silence. They observe their emotions like weather passing through. Oh, anger is here. Oh, fear is here. Oh, desire is here. Noted. And that's all. No argument with the emotion. No justification. No spiral of thoughts justifying why you should feel this way or shouldn't feel this way. No urgency. Just observation. And this creates something that looks supernatural to most people. Calm under pressure that seems impossible. Consistency that never wavers. Presence that feels almost threatening because you can't manipulate it. You can't push their buttons. You can't get them to react. People find this unsettling because we're used to emotional chaos being identity. We say things like, I'm an angry person, I'm an anxious person, I'm passionate. We wear our emotional reactivity like it's personality, like it's what makes us unique. So when you meet someone who has none of that chaos, it feels like meeting someone who's missing something human, like they're a robot or cold or dead inside. But they're not missing anything. They've just separated who they are from what they feel. How did samurai train this? Not through meditation alone, not by sitting peacefully and thinking calm thoughts. Through systematic exposure to the things that trigger reaction. They would sit in meditation for hours until discomfort became unbearable, until every muscle screamed, until the mind begged to move, then sit longer. They would train until exhausted, until the body wanted to collapse, then train more. They would face real fear, controlled fear, repeatedly until fear no longer created freeze or flight. They built strict routines and followed them regardless of how they felt, regardless of pain or exhaustion or desire. Not to build discipline, to build proof that feelings don't control action. They learned something crucial that modern psychology is only now confirming through brain scans and studies. There is a gap between emotion and action, a tiny space. Most people never see this gap because they react so fast. Emotion appears and action follows instantly, like a reflex, like breathing. But the gap exists, and it can be widened. Through training, that microsecond between feeling and acting can be stretched into a second, then 5 seconds, then 10, then indefinitely, until you have complete separation. Emotion exists here, action exists there, and you choose whether they connect. A neuroscientist at Kyoto University studied Zen monks who practiced Fudōshin for decades. She measured their brain activity during stressful stimuli, loud noises designed to startle, disturbing images designed to create disgust, physical discomfort designed to create the urge to escape. Normal people showed immediate amygdala activation. The alarm system fires, stress hormones flood the bloodstream, the body prepares to react. The monks showed amygdala activation too. The emotion registered, they felt it. But then something different happened. Prefrontal cortex activity increased dramatically, and the emotional response was observed but not propagated. The feeling arose but didn't cascade into reaction. The mind noted the emotion and returned to baseline within seconds. But here's what people get wrong about Fudoshin. They think it's emotional suppression. They think it's forcing yourself not to feel, pushing emotions down, bottling them up. It's not. Emotional suppression is pushing feelings down, pretending they're not there, lying to yourself about what you feel. And suppression creates pressure. Eventually, it explodes or leaks out in unhealthy ways. Depression, anxiety, physical illness. Fudoshin is the opposite. It's feeling everything completely while not being controlled by it. You feel the anger fully. You feel the fear completely. You feel the desire intensely. But feeling it doesn't mean obeying it. Think of it like this. You're standing in a river. Emotions are the current. Suppression is trying to stop the water from flowing. You build a dam. You hold it back. It doesn't work. The water builds up. The pressure increases. Eventually, it breaks through and destroys everything. Fudoshin is standing firm while the water flows around you. You feel every bit of the current, the cold, the force, the pull. But your feet don't move. The water doesn't carry you. You acknowledge its force without being swept away. Let me show you how this applies to modern life in ways you deal with every day. You're trying to eat healthy. You've made a commitment. You've been good all day. You walk past a bakery. The smell hits you like a physical force. Your mouth waters. Your brain screams for sugar, releases dopamine just from the smell, starts generating justifications. Most people either give in immediately or use willpower to walk faster while suffering. while their brain keeps screaming at them for the next hour. Fudoshin is different. You smell it. You feel the desire rise in your body. You note that your brain wants it, that your mouth is watering, that the craving is strong. And then you simply continue walking, not fighting the desire, not pretending it's not there, not using force, just not letting it control your direction. Or you're in an argument with someone you care about. Someone says something that normally would make you explode. Something unfair, something that hits your triggers perfectly. You feel anger rising, heat in your chest, tension in your jaw, words forming. To fire back, cutting words designed to hurt them the way they hurt you. Most people either explode, say things they'll regret, damage the relationship, or bite their tongue while seething, while the anger poisons them from inside. Fudoshin is feeling the anger completely, noting it, watching it rise and noting exactly where it sits in your body, and choosing your response from a place of clarity rather than reaction. Maybe you respond firmly, maybe you stay silent, but the anger didn't choose. You did. Or you're scrolling your phone. Hours disappear. You know you should stop. You know you're wasting time. You know there's something important you should be doing, but you can't. The dopamine loop has you. The algorithm knows exactly what to show you next to keep you hooked. Most people either continue scrolling, hating themselves the whole time, or force themselves to stop while the urge remains, while their hand keeps reaching for the phone every few minutes. Fudoshin is noticing the urge to check again, feeling it fully, feeling your hand want to move, and simply not moving your hand. The urge doesn't go away immediately, but it doesn't control you. And after enough non-reaction, the urge gets weaker. Your brain learns that this feeling doesn't lead to action anymore, or you're procrastinating on something difficult, something important, something that could change your trajectory. The discomfort of starting feels overwhelming. Your brain generates every excuse and distraction it can find. You need to do more research first. You need the perfect conditions. You need to feel ready. Most people either avoid it, sometimes for years, or force themselves with gritted teeth, making the work harder than it needs to be. Fudoshin is sitting with the discomfort, feeling it completely, noting that your brain wants to avoid this, and starting anyway. Not because you overcome the discomfort, because the discomfort doesn't determine your action. But here's the truth that most people will never accept, the truth that might make you uncomfortable right now. Most people will never develop Fudoshin, not because they can't. Anyone with a functioning brain can, because they don't want to. We are addicted to emotional reactivity. We are addicted to the drama, the highs of excitement, the validation of anger, the rush of desire, the intensity of fear, the story of struggle. Take that away and what's left? Silence, clarity, groundedness. And to most people, that feels boring. That feels like death. That feels like losing what makes them alive. We've built our identities around our emotional patterns. I'm a passionate person, meaning I react strongly to everything. I'm spontaneous, meaning I follow impulses without thinking. I'm sensitive, meaning I'm easily affected by what others say and do. These aren't just descriptions, they're excuses. They're ways to avoid responsibility for our reactions. They're ways to say this isn't my fault. This is just who I am. Fudoshin requires you to give that up. It requires you to stop blaming your emotions for your actions. And most people would rather stay controlled than face that level of responsibility. There's also comfort-seeking behavior trained into us from birth. We've trained ourselves to avoid discomfort at all costs. Feel bored? Reach for phone. Feel lonely? Reach for food. Feel anxious? Reach for distraction. Feel anything uncomfortable? Do anything to make it stop right now. Fudoshin requires you to sit with discomfort without reaching for anything, to feel bored without entertainment, to feel lonely without filling the space, to feel anxious without escape. And that level of discomfort tolerance is something most people have never experienced for more than a few minutes. Then there's the fear of silence. The constant noise in most people's heads is actually comforting to them. It feels like company. It feels like living. It feels like proof they exist, proof they're thinking, proof they're someone. The idea of that noise going quiet feels like something is wrong, like you're broken, like you're not fully alive, like you're losing yourself. But that noise is just reactivity. And once it's quiet, what remains is far more alive, just different, still, aware, present. But most people never get there because they run back to the noise the moment silence appears. And there's dependence on motivation that runs deep. Most people only act when they feel like it, when they're motivated, inspired, energized, pumped up. So they spend their lives chasing motivation like a drug, reading quotes, watching videos, pumping themselves up, listening to music that gets them going. And when motivation fades, they stop. They wait for it to come back. They wait to feel ready. Fudōshin removes motivation from the equation entirely. You act based on decision, not feeling. And that's terrifying to people who have only ever acted from emotion. But if you do develop Fudōshin, you transform completely, from reactive to deliberate. Every action becomes choice. Nothing is impulse. Nothing is accident. You do what you said you'd do when you said you'd do it, regardless of how you feel. From emotional to grounded. Emotions exist, but don't shake you. You can feel everything without being thrown off balance. People's moods don't affect yours. External chaos doesn't create internal chaos. From impulsive to disciplined, temptation loses its power. Distraction loses its pull. You're no longer controlled by whatever your brain happens to want in the moment. You operate from clarity, from chaotic to immovable. Your life stops being a reaction to circumstances. It becomes a deliberate path. And others notice. They can't quite name it, but they feel it. You have a presence, a quiet authority, a stability that's both attractive and unsettling. People start treating you differently. Some respect you more. Some fear you a little, because they can't manipulate you emotionally. They can't make you react. They can't push your buttons. And people who are used to getting emotional reactions from others don't know what to do with someone who gives them nothing. You become unmovable. And that's power that makes people uncomfortable. But there's a cost. There's always a cost. Loneliness is the first. Most people bond through emotional reactivity, through drama, through shared complaints and excitement. When you stop participating in that, you become separate. People don't understand your calm. They think something is wrong with you. They think you don't care. They think you're cold. You're not. You just don't ride the emotional waves anymore. And that can be isolating. Loss of emotional highs is second. Fudōshin doesn't just remove the lows. It flattens the highs too. You don't get swept up in excitement. You don't get the rush of winning an argument. You don't get the validation high from approval. Life becomes more even, more stable, but less exciting. And some people find that even stability feels like something missing, like they've lost color. They haven't. They've just lost chaos. But chaos feels like living when it's all you've known. Discipline over pleasure becomes constant. You always choose the right action over the comfortable one. Not sometimes, always. And that's hard. There's no cheat days. No, I deserve this moments. Because Fudōshin doesn't waver. It doesn't make exceptions. You either have it or you don't. And maintaining it requires constant practice, constant awareness, constant choice. It's not for everyone. And that's okay. This level of self-control earns respect from those who understand it, fear from those who don't. And it marks you as different in a way you can't hide. People sense it even if they can't name it. You're not like them anymore. You're operating from a completely different system. And that gap can't be bridged unless they develop it too. Let me tell you how this actually builds. You don't wake up tomorrow with Fudōshin. You build it through daily practice, through small exposures, through systematically widening the gap between feeling and action. Start with tiny impulses. The urge to check your phone. Feel it. Note it. Don't move your hand. Sit with the feeling. Let it be there. Watch it peak and fade. Do this 100 times. The urge stops controlling you. Move to bigger impulses. The urge to eat something you decided not to eat. Feel it completely. The desire. The rationalization your brain creates. Note all of it. Don't act. Watch yourself want it without getting it. Do this enough times and your brain rewires. Wanting stops leading to having. Then emotional reactions. Someone irritates you, feel the anger. Note where it sits in your body. Note the story your mind creates about why they're wrong. Don't react. Don't speak. Don't act. Just feel it completely. Watch it move through you and fade. Do this 1,000 times. Anger stops controlling your behavior. Then bigger challenges. Fear before difficult action. Discomfort during sustained effort. Temptation under stress. Each time, the same practice. Feel everything. Be moved by nothing. Choose action based on decision, not emotion. And over months, years, something shifts. The emotions get quieter, not gone, just quieter. They arise and fall without creating much motion, and in their place is something still, something aware, something immovable. The samurai who walked away from the insult. Remember him. 3 days later, the young warrior came back. He bowed deeply and asked to become the samurai's student. Why? The samurai asked. Because, the young man said, in that moment when I insulted you, I was completely controlled by my emotions. I couldn't stop myself. But you were free. You felt nothing, or you felt everything and chose nothing. Either way, you were not controlled. And that's what I want to learn. The samurai smiled. You understand now. Fudōshin is not about winning arguments. It's about not being controlled by others, by circumstances, by your own emotions. It's about becoming immovable. And that's the most powerful and terrifying state a human can develop. So here's your choice. The same choice every person faces. You can continue living as you are, controlled by reactions, jerked around by emotions, manipulated by impulses, dependent on how you feel, unstable, reactive, human in the way most people are human. Or you can begin building Fudōshin, slowly, painfully, through years of practice, through constant awareness, through choosing response over reaction 10,000 times until it becomes structure, until your mind becomes immovable. This is not a trick. This is not a life hack. This is fundamental transformation of how you operate. And it costs something, but it gives you something most people never experience. Freedom, not from emotion. Freedom from being controlled by emotion, not from desire. Freedom from being controlled by desire, not from fear. Freedom from being controlled by fear. And that freedom is worth everything. The question is not, can you develop Fudōshin? You can. Anyone can. The question is, are you willing to stop reacting? Are you willing to sit with discomfort? Are you willing to feel everything without being moved by anything? Are you willing to become someone that others find unsettling because you give them nothing to manipulate? Are you willing to be immovable? If this video showed you something you've never seen before about self-control, subscribe to this channel and activate notifications. And tell me in the comments, what's one impulse you will practice not obeying today? Just one. Feel it. Don't act on it. Start there.